the awakening cold steel floor pressed against her cheek as she opened her eyes to a world of blinking lights and humming machinery. She had no name, no past, nothing but the thin medical gown covering her body and a strange pulsing warmth beneath her skin. The air tasted metallic, recycled countless times through filtration systems. She somehow recognized but couldn't remember learning about. She pushed herself up. Noting the absence of monitoring equipment or restraints, whoever had left her here hadn't expected her to wake. A station directory on the wall identified her location, Terraforming Outpost Thetanine. Level 3, Medical Storage. The date marker indicated it was the 7th cycle of the new stellar calendar, meaningless to her empty memory. Footsteps approached, and she scrambled behind a supply cabinet. A man entered, whistling softly while checking inventory on a datapad. He wore standard-issue maintenance coveralls with a patch read over the breast pocket. His dark hair fell across focused eyes as he scanned shelves. He froze suddenly, his datapad clattering to the floor. "Someone's here," he whispered, reaching slowly for a utility knife on his belt. "Please," she said, emerging with hands raised. "I don't know who I am," he stared, knife forgotten. "How did you get in here?" "This section is locked down. I woke up on the floor. I have no memory." His expression softened as he approached cautiously. "I'm Darius. Darius Reed." "I don't know my name," she said, voice breaking. Darius glanced at the security camera in the corner, then decisively moved to disconnect it. "They'll be looking for you." "Unmarked medical gown, no processing bracelet are not registered on this station. Who will be looking?" "Planetary security. They don't take kindly to unregistered visitors." He removed his jacket and offered it to her. "Here, we need to move." As she reached for it, the lights above them flickered. Darius looked up in confusion, but she knew somehow that she had caused it. A power surge emanating from her body. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Darius's eyes widened. "Did you just—" An alarm blared overhead. Level 3, Security Breach. "All personnel report to stations." "Come with me," Darius said, making a split-second decision that would change everything. "I have a maintenance apartment on level 7. It's off the main grid. They navigated service corridors, avoiding security drones and personnel rushing to their stations." She moved with unexpected grace, anticipating turns before Darius indicated them. "You've been here before," he observed. "I don't think so," she replied. "But some things feel ... familiar." In his small apartment, Darius secured the door and activated a signal scrambler. "It's not much, but it's safe." "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Darius turned away, busying himself with a storage compartment. "I know what it's like to be hunted, to lose everything." He emerged with clothing and a small medkit. "You need a name, at least temporarily." She considered this, feeling a strange resonance with the starlight visible through the small viewport. "Nora," she decided. "Call me Nora." As Darius treated a scrape on her arm, his fingers brushed her skin. The lights dimmed momentarily, and warmth spread from the contact point. "You're different," he said quietly. "Whatever they did to you, what if I'm dangerous?" Nora whispered. Darius smiled sadly. "Everyone's dangerous in the right circumstances. Rest now. Tomorrow, we figure out who's looking for you and why." As Nora drifted to sleep on Darius's cot, the stars outside seemed to pulse in rhythm with her breathing. Darius watched, mesmerized, as faint, luminescent patterns appeared briefly beneath her skin, tracing constellations he'd never seen before. Whispers in the dark station, alerts wailed for the 3rd consecutive hour as Nora and Darius gathered essential supplies. Security forces had locked down all major transit hubs, their search narrowing toward level 7. "They know more than they should," Darius muttered, packing emergency rations into a worn backpack. "Someone's tracking you specifically." Nora stared at her palm, where blue-white energy occasionally sparked between her fingers. Since waking, these manifestations had intensified. "Maybe they know what I am, even if I don't." Darius nodded grimly. "We need to reach the maintenance docks. I can access an atmospheric skiff enough to get us to the outer territories." As they prepared to leave, Nora placed her hand on the apartment's control panel. Instinctively, she sent a pulse of energy through her fingertips. The system responded instantly, displaying classified security protocols. How did you do that? Darius asked, eyes wide. I don't know, she whispered. But look, they've issued a capture order for a Project Stellaris subject. Is that me? Darius studied the information. Classified military bioengineering program. This goes higher than station security. They navigated maintenance shafts, avoiding patrols through Nora's inexplicable ability to sense approaching personnel. At one junction, Darius hesitated. We need to make a stop, he said. There's someone who might help us understand what you are. They diverted to a hydroponics section, where a woman with silver-streaked hair tended to experimental crops. Her eyes narrowed at Darius before noticing Nora.
Helena,
Darius began. We need inside. Quickly, Helena interrupted, ushering them into a hidden room behind growth chambers. You've brought the Stellaris subject directly to me. Bold move. Nora tensed. You know what I am? Helena's gaze softened. Not entirely, but I've been monitoring communications. You're the first successful integration of alien genetic material with human DNA. Hybridization designed for something important. Alien. Nora whispered, looking at her hands with new understanding.
the Resistance has heard whispers for months, Helena continued, addressing Darius.
Take her to the old research outpost in Sector 17. There might be answers there. Security forces moved closer. Helena provided them clearance to a service elevator, leading directly to the maintenance docks. Inside the elevator, Nora swayed suddenly, gripping Darius's arm. Memories, she gasped. Flashes of light. People in containment suits. They were changing me. Darius steadied her, his hand lingering on her waist. Whatever they did, whatever you are, we'll figure it out. Their eyes met in the dim emergency lighting. For a moment, the mission, the danger, all faded away. Darius leaned closer, drawn by something beyond rational thought. The elevator jolted to a stop, breaking the moment. They emerged onto the maintenance dock, where an atmospheric skiff waited. As Darius prepared the craft, Nora placed her hand on its control console. The engines hummed to life without activation codes. Convenient talent, Darius remarked, with a small smile. As they lifted off, alarms blared across the station. Below them, security forces stormed the dock too late. Hold on, Darius warned as they accelerated toward the barrier that separated station airspace from the untamed. Planetary wilderness beyond. Nora reached for his hand as the skiff burst through into open sky, stars spreading above them like possibilities waiting to be discovered. The truth beneath skiff descended into dense forest as dawn broke over the horizon, illuminating the landscape of Sector 17. Massive trees with luminescent bark provided natural camouflage as Darius expertly landed in a small clearing. The research facility should be 5 kilometers north, he said, powering down the engines. Helena's coordinates indicate it's been abandoned for at least 2 years. Nora stepped onto the soft forest floor, inhaling deeply. This place. I've been here before. They trekked through the wilderness, taking cover whenever surveillance drones passed overhead. During a brief rest, Darius observed Nora's increasingly fluid movements, the way she navigated the terrain as if reconnecting with long-dormant instincts. You're becoming more yourself, he noted, offering her a water canister. Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and Nora didn't pull away. What if my true self is something neither of us is prepared for? By midday, they reached a perimeter fence partially reclaimed by vegetation. Nora placed her palm against the access panel, and her skin illuminated with intricate patterns. The gate unlocked with a reluctant groan. Inside, the abandoned facility lay in eerie silence. Research equipment stood covered in dust, and specimen containers lined the walls. Nora moved through the space as if in a trance, touching various instruments that flickered to life at her contact. It was called Project Stellaris, she whispered, memories surfacing. I volunteered. I was Dr. Nora Vess, xenobiologist. We discovered that human and Zetheran DNA could be successfully merged. Darius approached cautiously. Zetheran, An advanced species from the Andromeda cluster. Nora closed her eyes, concentrating. They reached out to us secretly. War was coming between our civilizations, but they believed integration could prevent it. I offered myself as the first subject. A holographic terminal activated as Nora placed her hand on its surface. Images appeared her former self in a lab coat, then later suspended in a tank of luminescent fluid, her body undergoing transformation. "You sacrificed yourself, Darius," said softly, "to save both species." Nora turned to him, tears tracking down her cheeks. But something went wrong. There was an attack. They wiped my memory and evacuated me before the facility was compromised. Darius stepped closer, gently wiping a tear from her face. "Your memories are returning. That's something they didn't anticipate." "I'm not fully human anymore," she whispered.
"Either am I,"
Darius replied. "Not where it counts." He hesitated, then continued, "My family died during the border colony attacks. I've been alone, just maintaining systems, existing but not living. Until you." Nora's eyes widened at his confession. Slowly, she raised her hand to his face, her fingertips glowing softly where they touched his skin. "I feel everything more intensely now," she said, "including this." Their lips met in a kiss that sent ripples of energy through the abandoned lab, momentarily illuminating dormant systems around them. Darius pulled her closer, his embrace offering an anchor in her shifting reality. When they separated, breathless, the facility's warning system suddenly activated. "Proximity alert," an automated voice announced. "Unauthorized personnel approaching." Darius checked the security monitors. "They've tracked the skiff. We need to move." Nora nodded, downloading research data onto a portable device. "There's another facility more secure with the complete memory banks. We need to reach it." As they prepared to flee, Darius took her hand, their fingers intertwining. "Whatever happens," he promised, "I'm with you." Beyond the veil beneath, the crimson sky of dusk, Nora and Darius crouched behind a ridge overlooking the secondary research facility. Unlike the abandoned outpost, this complex hummed with activity. Armed guards patrolled its perimeter while scientists moved between buildings. "The main database is in the central structure," Nora whispered, her eyes briefly flashing with alien luminescence as she accessed fragmented memories. "My complete genetic profile and memory backups should be there." Darius studied the security patterns through enhanced binoculars. "We'll need more than luck to get inside." Nora closed her eyes, concentrating until her fingertips emitted a soft blue glow. "I can sense the facility's systems. Their security grid operates on the same principles as my altered physiology. You can interface with it?" Darius asked. "I think so. But I'll need to be closer." They waited until nightfall before approaching the outer fence. As security patrols passed, Nora pressed her palm against a sensor node. Energy flowed from her body into the system, creating a localized power fluctuation that deactivated a section of the perimeter defenses. 15 minutes before the automatic diagnostics detect the anomaly, she calculated, they slipped inside. Using maintenance corridors, Nora somehow remembered. In a moment of vulnerability, Darius caught her arm. "If you recover everything, your full identity, your mission, what then?" Nora's expression softened. "I don't know. But whatever I discover, these feelings between us are real." They shared a brief, intense kiss before continuing to the central database. Inside the dimly lit server room, Nora connected directly to the main console. Information flooded her consciousness: technical specifications, mission parameters, diplomatic protocols. "The integration was meant to create a biological ambassador," she gasped, processing the information. "Someone who could physically bridge both species, facilitate understanding through shared consciousness." Darius watched in awe as patterns of light moved beneath her skin, forming complex symbols. "You were meant to prevent a war, and I still can," she whispered. "The Zetherans are coming. Their delegation arrives in 3 months, expecting to meet their hybrid ambassador." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. On security monitors, they watched armed troops converging on their location. "They detected the unauthorized access," Darius said, drawing a weapon. "We need to move." As they rushed toward an emergency exit, security forces cut off their escape route. In the ensuing firefight, a stray energy pulse struck Darius in the chest, sending him crashing to the floor. "No," Nora cried, dropping to his side. The wound was severe, his breathing shallow, pulse weakening. Without hesitation, Nora placed both hands on his chest. Drawing on her hybrid abilities, she channeled healing energy into his body. The effort was enormous, draining her newly recovered strength, but Darius's eyes fluttered open. "What did you do?" he asked weakly. "What I was designed to do," she replied. "Bridge to worlds." Using the last of her energy, Nora created a massive electromagnetic pulse that disabled the facility's systems. In the darkness and confusion, she helped Darius to his feet, and they escaped into the night. Miles away, sheltered in a cave, Nora tended to Darius's healing wound. "You could have completed your download, recovered everything," he said. "Instead, you saved me." Nora smiled, the stars reflected in her eyes. Some choices transcend mission parameters. His hand found hers in the darkness, their fingers intertwining as the night deepened around them. Stellar convergence, Eth Mountain Sanctuary. Pulsed with activity as members of the Resistance prepared for the arrival of the Zetheran delegation. 3 months had passed since Nora and Darius had escaped the research facility with crucial data that exposed the government's attempts to weaponize the hybridization. Project Nora stood at a viewport. Gazing at the stars, her body now comfortable with its dual nature, the luminescent patterns beneath her skin no longer appeared randomly, but responded to her will. Enhancing her connection to both human and Zetheran technology, Darius approached, resting his hand on the small of her back. The communication array is aligned. When the Zetheran ship enters orbit, you'll be able to establish contact. She turned to him, her eyes reflecting starlight. "What if they reject me? I'm not the ambassador they expected. My transformation was incomplete."
"You're more,"
Darius said firmly. "You chose your path instead of following programming. That makes you the perfect bridge between our species." Their relationship had deepened during their months in hiding. Moments of intimacy stolen between preparations for the diplomatic mission that would determine the fate of both species. Nora reached up, tracing the scar on Darius's chest where she had healed him. "I never thought I'd find love in the midst of all this," she whispered. Darius captured her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. "Love is the most human part of you. Perhaps that's what they need to understand most." Their moment was interrupted by Helena's arrival. "Government forces have discovered our location. Evacuation protocols are active, but the Zetheran ship will reach us before we can relocate." Nora straightened, decision forming. "Then we make our stand here. This is where both worlds meet." As Resistance fighters moved into defensive positions, Nora and Darius prepared the communication chamber, a modified observatory where Nora would attempt contact with the approaching Zetheran vessel. "Whatever happens," Darius said, "know that finding you gave my life purpose again." Nora pressed her forehead to his. "And you gave me humanity when I might have lost it." The sanctuary trembled as government ships bombarded the mountain's outer defenses. Inside the communication chamber, Nora connected herself to the amplification array, her body illuminating with intense blue-white energy. Her consciousness extended beyond physical limitations, reaching toward the stars. "I am Nora Vess," she projected, "human and Zetheran. I stand at the threshold between worlds." The response came immediately, a cascade of light and sensation, as Zetheran minds touched hers. Understanding flowed between them, transcending language. Nora shared everything's the government's betrayal, her escape, the Resistance's efforts, and most importantly, her connection with Darius. Through this unexpected bond, the Zetherans witnessed the depth of human emotion, the capacity for love that transcended biological imperatives as government forces breached the sanctuary's outer defenses. The sky above erupted with light. The Zetheran ship, massive and crystalline, positioned itself between the sanctuary and the attack force. Energy shields extended downward, enveloping the mountain in protective radiance. In the communication chamber, Darius watched in awe as Nora's form briefly shifted between human and something gloriously other, before settling back into herself. "They understand," she said, tears streaming down her face. "They're calling for peace negotiations with us as the mediators." As government forces retreated from the Zethran display of power, Darius pulled Nora into his arms. "So what happens now, Ambassador?" he asked softly. Nora smiled, her fingers intertwining with his. "We build something new, not just between species, but between us. Something neither human nor Zethran, but uniquely ours, outside." The stars seemed to pulse in approval as two worlds prepared to converge, guided by a love that had defied every expectation.